I took my little brother in when he got out of jail, let him sleep on my couch, fed him, helped him get a job. One night, I came home to an empty apartment. TV gone. Laptop gone. Safe open. My rent money vanished. I called him. He answered once. "You shouldn't have trusted me so much." I sat there in silence, heart pounding. A week later, I showed up at his new job. And I brought the one person he never thought I'd find. My name's Travis. I'm 38 years old and live in Columbus, Ohio. I've never had a big life. I rent a small one-bedroom apartment just outside Groveport. I fix cars for a living, and I keep to myself. I don't have a wife. No kids. Just work, rent, and peace and quiet. At least, I used to have peace and quiet. Then my little brother Caleb got out of prison. He's 7 years younger than me. Growing up, we were close, even though we were nothing alike. I did my homework, followed rules. He got into fights, stole things, skipped school. Our mom tried her best, but when she died, I was barely 20. I moved out on my own, and Caleb got worse. Started hanging around guys that were bad news. Got arrested more than once. The last time I saw him before his sentence, he was getting shoved into the back of a police cruiser. He and some guy he barely knew had robbed a vape shop with a BB gun. Dumbest thing I ever heard. They gave him 5 years. I didn't visit him once. I didn't write either. I had no idea what to say to him. I was tired of feeling like everything he did was somehow my fault. That guilt's been in the back of my mind since I was a teenager. Then one day, around late January this year, I got a call from a number I didn't recognize. I usually don't answer random numbers, but something told me to that time. It was Caleb. His voice was low, like he wasn't sure how I'd take it. "Trav? I'm out." I didn't say anything. Then he said, "I got nowhere else to go." I waited. He didn't say anything else. "I just need a couch, man. Just for a while. I'll get a job. I swear I'm not like I was before." That line stuck with me. I'm not like I was before. I don't know why I believed him. Maybe I wanted to. Maybe I thought we could fix things. Maybe I thought helping him would fix me. So I told him he could stay. Just until he got on his feet. First few days were okay. He looked rough, skinny, tired, always glancing over his shoulder like he still wasn't used to being free. I gave him the couch, bought groceries, even gave him a pair of my old work boots. We sat up late some nights watching games. He laughed a little, acted polite. I didn't press him about prison. I figured if he wanted to talk, he would. After a week, I helped him write a resume. It wasn't much, but I knew a guy who owed me a favor at a tire shop I used to work at. I put in a word, and they gave him a shot. Minimum wage, but it was something. Caleb thanked me. Said I saved his life. He even cried once. Told me he was done screwing things up. I believed him. For the first time in over a decade, I let my guard down. 2 weeks after that, I came home from a long shift at the shop. Sun was setting. I remember because the hallway light was busted and I could barely see the lock as I put my key in. The door was cracked open. My stomach dropped. At first, I thought maybe I left it unlocked. Maybe I was just tired and forgot. But when I stepped inside, I knew. The couch was empty. The TV? Gone. The laptop I use for bills and job apps? Gone. My little safe in the bedroom, wide open. Every dollar I had for rent? Gone. I stood there frozen. I could hear the fridge humming. Everything else was dead quiet. Like the room itself was holding its breath. I checked every drawer. Every bag. Every damn cabinet. Then I called Caleb. Straight to voicemail. I called again. And again. 4th time, he picked up. His voice was calm, cold even. "You shouldn't have trusted me so much." And he hung up. Just like that. I didn't know what to do. I sat on the edge of the bed with the safe open beside me, empty. My chest felt like it was caving in. I wanted to scream, but nothing came out. That money was rent. Groceries. Gas. I don't have family I can call. I don't have savings. That was everything I had. I stared at the door for hours. Didn't eat. Didn't move. The next morning, I sold my toolbox to make rent. My boss let me pick up a few extra hours. I told him I had a family emergency. He didn't ask questions. For a whole week, I said nothing. Didn't tell anyone what happened. I was embarrassed. Ashamed. Angry. Then a guy from my old job called me. His name's Rob. Decent guy. We worked together for 2 years. He goes, "Hey Trav, random question. Didn't your brother get out recently?" "Yeah. You know he's working at that hand wash on Alum Creek Drive, right? Just saw him today. Pretty sure it was him. Neck tattoo and all. I hung up and sat there in silence. I should have been furious. And I was. But more than that, I felt stupid. He didn't even leave town. Didn't even try to hide. That's when something in me shifted. I wasn't going to just move on. Not this time. I didn't care that he was my brother. He stole from me. Lied to me. Mocked me. So I made some calls. Not to the police, not yet. I called someone I hadn't spoken to in almost 10 years. Her name was Marissa. She used to date Caleb back in his early 20s. Everyone knew about them. Toxic doesn't even begin to describe it. He treated her like crap. Lied to her. Cheated. Stole from her. She stuck around longer than she should have. The last straw was when he broke into her cousin's garage and tried to steal his truck. She was the one who called the cops. Caleb never forgave her. Said she was a traitor. Said if he ever saw her again, it would be bad. But she wasn't afraid of him. Not back then. And not now. When I told her what he did to me, she didn't even hesitate. Tell me when and where. We agreed to meet up that Friday morning. She drove in from Dayton, wearing jeans and a windbreaker, hair tied back. Same look in her eyes I remembered from years ago, like she wasn't scared of anyone. I pulled into the car wash parking lot with her in the passenger seat. He was out back, scrubbing a rim with a rag, music blasting from a Bluetooth speaker. She walked up first. Asked for a wax and tire shine. He didn't even look up until he asked for her keys. And when he did, his whole body froze. Eyes wide. He took a step back, like he'd seen a ghost. Then I stepped out of the car. No yelling. No threats. Just me, holding an envelope. Inside, a copy of the police report I'd filed earlier that week. Pictures of the safe. Serial numbers for the laptop and TV. A written list of everything he took. I handed it to him. And I said, "You've got 24 hours. Return everything. Or I hand this in. You think I'm bluffing? Look who's standing beside me." He looked at her again. He knew I meant it. Marissa leaned in and said real quiet, "You haven't changed a bit." Then we left. We didn't look back. He didn't call that night. He didn't text. I didn't really expect him to. I slept with a chair pushed up against the front door that night anyway. Not because I thought he'd come back, but because some part of me hoped he would try. I was that angry. Next morning, I left for work around 6. And when I came home, there it was. TV leaned up against my front door. My laptop inside a grocery bag. The same duffel bag he took with him, sitting wide open, nothing inside but a wad of bills rolled up and held with a rubber band. It was exactly $1,200. No note. No apology. Nothing. I stood there for a minute just looking at it all. Then I brought it inside and locked the door behind me. That should have been the end of it. But 2 days later, I got a phone call from Marissa. "You need to sit down," she said. "Why?" "He's been calling me. Blocked numbers. Left a voicemail. He's pissed." I didn't even have to ask what he said. I knew my brother. When he didn't get his way, he always lashed out. Loud. Ugly. And dangerous. "Did he threaten you?" "Not directly," she said. "But the message was weird." She sent it to me. I played it back that night, lying in bed with the lights off. Caleb's voice, soft and cold. "Y'all think this is over? You're wrong. You ruined me. You're both gonna regret it." Click. I sat there listening to the silence after the message ended. That was when I realized something I hadn't thought about before. He didn't return the stuff because he felt guilty. He returned it to stall. To make me back off. To shut me up. And now that I didn't? He was going to stir up more trouble. Next morning, I filed a restraining order for both myself and Marissa. I handed over the voicemail, the police report, everything. Cops said they'd keep an eye out. Which meant nothing. Then things got worse. I got to work one day and found all 4 tires on my truck slashed. Nails scattered around the lot. Shop manager told me someone had called and canceled my next 3 shifts using my name and pretending to be me. The guy at the tire shop Caleb worked at? Quit. Said someone had been following him home. Some beat-up sedan, tinted windows, same car he'd seen Caleb in before. That was the final straw. I called a friend from high school, Tommy. He used to run with some rough people but cleaned up and works private security now. Told him what was going on. Tommy said, "I'll make a few calls. You just stay alert." I didn't ask for details. I didn't need them. But 3 days later, Caleb disappeared from the car wash. Quit mid-shift, didn't come back, didn't answer his phone. And just like that. Radio silence. I figured maybe he'd finally gotten scared. Maybe he realized I wasn't playing anymore. But no. Because a week later, I walked into my apartment, and my kitchen window was wide open. There was no forced entry. Nothing stolen. But sitting right on the kitchen counter was a folded piece of paper. Inside, one line written in red ink. You thought this was revenge. But I'm just getting started. I stared at that note for a long time. Red ink. Sloppy handwriting. But it was his. It always slanted hard to the left, like he was mad at the pen. I checked the window. No prints, no smudges. Just a couple of faint dirt marks on the sill. He must have waited until I was at work. Slipped in and out. Quick. And he didn't take anything this time. He wanted me to know he could still get in. I called the cops. Again. They sent out an officer, took another report, told me the same line they always give. We'll keep an eye out. But it didn't feel like anything was going to come of it. I changed the locks. Put bars on the windows. Bought a cheap security system with motion sensors and a camera that syncs to my phone. And I kept going to work, acting like everything was normal. But I was watching over my shoulder everywhere I went. 3 days later, my boss pulled me aside. Said somebody had emailed the shop pretending to be me, said I was quitting, even attached a fake resignation letter. Luckily, he didn't buy it. Then he handed me a printed copy of the email. There was a line at the end. Too bad y'all don't do background checks. Good luck keeping the place open once people know who Travis really is. It made no sense, until I remembered what Caleb knew. Years ago, when I was 19, I got into a fight at a gas station. Some drunk guy shoved a girl, and I shoved back. He cracked his head on the curb. Spent a week in the hospital. They charged me with aggravated assault. Got pled down to a misdemeanor. I did probation. Stayed clean ever since. But it was still on my record. Something I'd never told anyone at work. I knew then what Caleb was doing. He wasn't trying to hurt me physically. He was trying to ruin me. My job. My home. My peace. One day at a time. I kept my head down. Didn't tell anyone what was going on except Marissa and Tommy. Tommy offered to send a guy to check in on Caleb's place, but I said no. I wasn't ready to go that route yet. Instead, I started doing something else. I started looking into Caleb's past. Not just what I remembered, but the things he never talked about. Old friends. Old enemies. People he burned that I never met. And one name came up again and again, Victor. Victor was a guy Caleb used to run with in his early 20s. Big guy. Tattoos from neck to wrist. Used to deal out of a garage on the east side. Word was Caleb stole from him once, something serious. After that, Victor vanished. Rumors said he skipped town. Others said Caleb dined him out to avoid jail time years ago. So I started digging. Found a friend of a friend who said Victor was back in Ohio. Low profile. Staying with his cousin out in Newark. Cleaned up, apparently. Married now. Kid on the way. I didn't know what I was looking for, but something told me Caleb would never expect me to find him. So I made the drive. Showed up on a Sunday afternoon. Knocked on a door behind a beat-up ranch house. Guy opens the door. Same tattoos. Older. Leaner. Eyes sharp. You Travis? He said. I nodded. You hear about Caleb? I didn't even have to explain. He invited me in. We sat at his kitchen table. His wife was in the other room watching TV. He kept his voice low. Your brother, he said, has a death wish. I don't know what kind of trouble he's stirring now, but whatever it is, I got no part in it. I told him everything. The couch. The theft. The car wash. The threats. The break-in. The fake emails. The slow spiral. Victor didn't say anything for a minute. Just rubbed his chin. Then he said, You know what your brother's doing now, right? I frowned. No. He stood up, grabbed his phone, and pulled up a video on social media. It was a clip from a podcast. Low budget, filmed in someone's garage. Caleb was the guest. Face clean-shaven. Hoodie on. Talking fast. They all turned their backs on me. He was saying, My brother? Fake as hell. Stole from me first. Tried to set me up. Lied to my face. All these people out here pretending to be good guys, they're the worst ones. He went on and on. He named me. Named Marissa. Spun every detail around. It wasn't just revenge anymore. He was trying to destroy my name. Victor paused the video. He's not just coming after you. He's trying to rewrite the story. Paint himself as the victim. And that's when I realized Caleb didn't want money. He didn't even want revenge. He wanted control. Of the narrative. Of how people saw him. Of what the world thought happened. And he'd do anything, to make sure he didn't look like the villain. Even if it meant ruining the only people who ever helped him. After I saw that video, something broke inside me. He wasn't just lying. He was performing. Playing victim like it was some kind of act he'd rehearsed 100 times. And people were eating it up. The comments under that podcast? Full of sympathy. Man, I feel you. Your brother sounds like a narcissist. Glad you got out of that toxic family. And all I could think was, this guy robbed me blind. Broke into my house. Sabotaged my job. Threatened people. And now he's the victim? No. I wasn't letting him walk away clean this time. He wanted war. I was done playing defense. So I started collecting. Every voicemail. Every text. Every fake email. I printed them all out. I logged every visit, every break-in, every call to the cops that went nowhere. I even got a guy from work to help me recover deleted messages from my phone. Then I went to my cousin Danny, who's a lawyer. We aren't close, we had a falling out years ago over money. But I showed up at his office with a stack of papers and said one sentence. I need help destroying my brother. He read everything. Didn't say a word for a long time. Then he said, we can do this. But you have to go all the way. I nodded. Let's go all the way. Step 1, we filed a civil suit for theft, defamation, and harassment. Step 2, we subpoenaed the podcast studio for full footage, unedited. Step 3, I reached out to Marissa and Rob and even the guy from the tire shop. Got written statements from every single one. All of them had been harassed by Caleb in some way. Then came the twist. Danny found out Caleb had started a GoFundMe after the podcast went live. Titled, Escape from Abuse. Said he'd been homeless, manipulated, and that I stole from him. Claimed I ruined his life, kicked him out, lied to the police, and he barely escaped with his life. Over $8,000 had been raised. That's when things got real. We didn't just go after Caleb. We filed fraud complaints against the fundraiser. Danny got a judge to freeze the account. And then I leaked the full unedited podcast video, the one the studio had to give us. In it you could hear Caleb laughing in between takes. Saying, they're gonna eat this up. Watch me flip the story. I know how to work people. And boom, everything changed. People turned on him fast. Donations stopped. GoFundMe shut the whole thing down and announced they were investigating. The podcast studio deleted the episode and issued a public apology. But that was just the start. A week later, the police finally issued a warrant for the original break-in, the stolen money, and for cyber harassment. They found Caleb hiding at some girl's apartment in Whitehall. He didn't go quietly. Tried to run. Slammed a door into one officer's leg. Added assault on a police officer to the list. They dragged him out in cuffs. Front page of the local news site the next morning. Columbus man arrested after faking abuse story, stealing thousands. Underneath. My face. And a full rundown of the truth. I didn't hide from it. I gave one interview. Just one. Told the story plain and simple. No big words. No drama. I let my brother in because I believed people could change. He proved me wrong. They asked if I forgave him. I said no. And I meant it. A month later, I stood in court and watched him sit there in a jumpsuit, shackled at the ankles, not even making eye contact. The judge read off the charges. He didn't say a word. His public defender did all the talking. The civil suit? We won. He owed me everything he stole, plus damages. He'll never pay it back. But it's on record now. On his credit. On his file. Every time he tries to get a job, rent an apartment, open a bank account, it's there. He burned every bridge. Even his old friends cut ties after the footage came out. And Marissa? She told me something afterward I'll never forget. She said, you know why this worked? Because for the first time, you stopped covering for him. And she was right. I spent my whole life thinking if I did just one more thing for him, gave him one more chance, maybe he'd stop being this way. But some people don't change. Some people can't change. And when you stop making excuses for them, that's when the real healing starts. 6 months later, I'm still in the same apartment. Still fixing cars. Still quiet life. But something's different now. I locked up the safe. Got better security. But more than that, I got peace. I reconnected with a few cousins. Even called my dad, who I hadn't spoken to in years. Told him what happened. He just sighed and said, "That boy always had a dark streak." And for the first time, I didn't defend Caleb. I let the truth stand. Now, when I go to sleep at night, I don't look over my shoulder. I don't check the window twice. Because the only person who ever made me feel unsafe is behind bars. Where he belongs.